My name's Swed. Today I learn Attica.
Let's begin history today with the American's Creed. Class stand. Kenton, look sharp. Ready? Begin. The American's Creed. I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed. A democracy and a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies. The American's Creed. Excellent. You may have a seat. Let's look up here at our map and see how well we can do today singing out our song. Impress me. Students watching, I should be able to hear you all the way through. Let's see how well you do. Ready, begin. Asia, Europe, Africa, way down to Antarctica, North and South America, west of all Australia, Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, the Arctic Ocean too. Woo! Oh, let's do that woo again. Ready? Woo! Oh, much better. I'm going to point to either a continent or a body of water, and you tell me what I'm pointing to and one fact about it. Here we go. You ready? Riley.
That is this Asia. No.
Starts with an
Africa.
Good.
Is the second largest continent.
Amazing job. Gage.
Asia, it is the largest continent.
And say the second fact a little bit louder.
It is the largest continent.
Good. Lawrence.
Australia is the smallest continent.
Good. And who can tell me Australia is so small that it is only one what? Layla, you remember? Not a continent, but it's only one
Country.
Good. Parker, what ocean and what fact?
The Indian Ocean, the warmest ocean.
Very good. Maddie.
Pacific Ocean, it's the largest ocean.
Students watching. What ocean? What fact? Sierra. Paige.
Atlantic Ocean and the most traveled ocean.
Excellent. And the last ocean is at the very top. Class, what ocean is this?
Arctic Ocean.
And it is the
Coldest ocean.
very good. Let's sing our song one last time. Ready?
Asia, Europe, Africa, way down to Antarctica, North and South America, west of all Australia, Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, the Arctic Ocean too. Woo!
Amazing job. Very good. Let's talk about some people that we talked about yesterday. Now, these names might be harder for you. Let's see if you remember. Who were the blonde hair, very strong people? And they fought and they would take food from people. Riley?
Viking.
Vikings is correct. Now, there was a man. He had a very weird name. He was a Viking, and he went over to Canada, and there are all these grapes there, and he called it Vinland. Do you remember, students watching, what was his name? Nathan?
Amerigo Vespucci.
Oh, that was one of the people we learned about, but that's not the person I'm talking about. Kalani?
Talbot?
That was another person we talked about, but that's not the one I'm talking about. Jay?
Leif Erikson.
Yes, and we actually say his name, Leif Erikson. Let's all say that together. Leif Erikson. Now, who was the man who came over in 1497 after Christopher Columbus, and he discovered the mainland of North America? Kenton.
John Cabot.
Excellent. And who was the man who came over to South America and America was named after him? Andres.
Amerigo Vespucci.
Very good. That's a fun name to say. Let's say it all together. Ready? Amerigo Vespucci. All right. These are some questions I haven't asked you yet. Students watching, let's see if you can get them. I'm going to help you out. We studied about maps. Do you remember? And we looked at a map on the paper. And we talked about directions. And I'll give you the directions. There's north, there's south, there's east, and there's west. Let's say that together. North, south, east, west. And then in between we have northeast,
Northeast,
southeast,
southeast,
northwest,
northwest,
southwest.
southwest.
Now guess and see if you can get this right. Which one are the cardinal, the main directions? We call them the cardinal directions. Peniel?
Range.
No, it's what I just talked about. Gage?
South, north, east, west.
Good. What are the intermediate directions? Student watching, do you think you can figure it out? Layla, help them out.
Northeast, northeast, northwest, northwest, north, south,
East
east,
and south.
west.
Excellent job. And this helps us find the distance. We call it a distance grid. What helps us find the distance?
Distance grid.
All right, let's talk about some important people today. Yesterday we talked about the Vikings and how they discovered all these different places. Well, it was kind of getting out that there were other places around, other places for people to discover, and there was an ocean to cross and land to be found. So people got very, very excited, and they thought, I want to go find some of this land. But they had different ideas. Our first man today is a man by the name of Vasco De Gama. Say that with me.
Vasco
De Gama. Now, Vasco De Gama decided something. He did not want to go to the New World. He wanted to go make some money. And he remembered everybody had originally been trying to get to India. You remember Christopher Columbus, he was trying to get to India. So Vasco de Gama said, you know what? I'm going to go a different way to India. The other way doesn't seem to be working out. I'm going to try something different. So he left. This is called the Iberian Peninsula, where Spain and Portugal are. And he sailed down and around Africa and all the way up to India. Vasco de Gama was one of the first people to find this way to India. And when he got to India, he found all kinds of spices and precious things that everybody would want. And he brought his ships all loaded up with stuff back around and up. And he made it back to the Iberian. You know what? I don't want to go to India. I want to go to the New World. And I want to see if I can find things over there. So Vasco de Balboa, he left the Iberian Peninsula where Portugal and Spain are. And he sailed down. And he made it down here to South America. Now, this is how I remember that he made it to South America. If you look at his last name, it says Balboa. Boa is a big snake that wraps around people and constricts. And in South America, you might be able to find a boa. So just picture, Vasco de Balboa comes to South America with a boa around his neck. Maybe that will help you remember. But he came to South America, and he made such good friends with the people. They said, hey, we want to show you something. And they cut through the jungles of Panama, and they showed him the Pacific Ocean. So he was the first man to cut through the land and to find the Pacific Ocean on the other side. One more man. This is my favorite today. Juan Ponce de Leon. Say that with me.
Juan Ponce de Leon.
He heard about something. He heard about land, and he heard about a fountain of youth, that if you stepped inside this fountain, you would be young forever. And who wouldn't want to find that? So he set out, and he sailed across, and he found a place that we in this classroom love very dearly. It's known as Florida. And he found Florida, and Florida is a peninsula. That means it's surrounded on 3 sides by water. Let's look. 1, 2, 3. It is. He found the peninsula of Florida, and Juan Ponce de Leon was searching for the fountain of youth. Now, do you think he found it? If he found it, I think we would all be there right now, so we wouldn't be getting old. Don't you think? He never found it. But he did find Florida, which is a peninsula. Let's read in our books, page 12, if I can have my readers start making their way up. At the top of page 12, it said, did anyone ever really find a sea route to the Indies? Well, let's see if they did. Riley, come on up and begin reading there for us.
Did anyone ever really find a sea route to the Indies? Before Columbus ever sailed, sea captains from Portugal talked about reaching India by sailing around Africa. Even after Columbus claimed he had reached the Indies in 1492, the Portuguese sea captains went ahead with their plans to sail around Africa. On July 8, 1497, 4 Portuguese ships commanded by Vasco de Gama sailed south in the Atlantic Ocean below the tip of Africa and then north to India.
Thank you, Gage.
When Vasco de Gama returned to Portugal, his ships carried the spices and goods from India. De Gama's discovery gave Europe a much faster and cheaper way to get the spices and goods it had longed for. Vasco de Gama made a great discovery for Europe by finding a way to sail around Africa to get to India. Although Europe did not realize it yet, Christopher Columbus had also made a great discovery for Europe by discovering America. While Portugal interested itself in developing a good trade with the Indies, Spain interested itself in the New World.
Thank you. So we have Portugal. Portugal is discovering India and all the great things in India. And we have Spain, which is discovering all the beautiful things in the New World. Continue reading for me, Lawrence.
A new ocean is found. Many Spanish explorers sailed to the New World to find as much gold and wealth as they could. One of these explorers was Vasco de Balboa.
Good.
Balboa treated the Spanish men who worked for him fairly. He also treated the Native Americans with kindness and soon won their friendship. The Indians began to tell Balboa wonderful things about their land. They told Balboa that there was another sea to the west.
Thank you, Layla.
Taking both Spaniards and Native Americans, Balboa set out to find the sea. It was not an easy journey. The men had to cut their way through thick jungles and find sickness and danger in the Central American land we now call Panama. After days of hard work, the Indians pointed to a steep hill from which the ocean could be seen. Hurriedly, Balboa climbed the hill and saw only a part of the tremendous body of water that would one day be called the Pacific Ocean. Balboa named it the Great South Sea.
Thank you. So before we called it the Pacific Ocean, class and students watching, what do we call it? The
Great South Sea.
I think Pacific Ocean sounds much better, don't you? Continue reading for me, Parker.
It took Balboa and his men 4 more days walking to reach the shore of the ocean they had seen from that hill. Stepping into the waves of the beautiful blue ocean, Balboa claimed the ocean and the land for the King of Spain.
That is Juan Ponce de Leon.
Juan Ponce de Leon explores Florida. By now you must be wondering when an explorer would ever explore land that is now part of the United States. As far as we know, the first European to reach what is now the United States was a Spanish explorer, Ponce de Leon.
Thank you. Peniel?
After Ponce de Leon sailed with Christopher Columbus on the second voyage to America, de Leon was eager to explore for himself the many islands he saw in the New World. Ponce de Leon, Spanish soldiers
against unfriendly Indians in America, and later became the governor of Puerto Rico, an island that he had conquered in the West Indies.
Thank you. Nathan.
One day he heard a Native American say that on the island of Bimini there was a special spring or fountain of water. The Indian story went on to say that if anyone drank from this fountain, he would become young again. In 1513, Ponce de Leon led Spanish explorers to search for the Fountain of Youth. As it came to be called, he found a land that was bright with many wonderful new kinds of flowers. He thought it was an island, but it was really a peninsula, a body of land with water on three sides. He named it Florida, the Spanish name for flowers.
Thank you. Think about that. Florida, students watching, we're in Florida, means flowers. So we can say we live in the land of flowers. Sounds different than Florida, doesn't it? Who can remember from reading, Juan Ponce de Leon became what of Puerto Rico? Kenton? Governor. So he stayed there so long and did such a good job, and the people liked him so much they made him governor. Paige, continue reading for me. At the very bottom, Ponce de Leon.
Ponce de Leon explored Florida's coast, but did not find what he was searching for, a fountain of youth. He did find many unfriendly Indians who fought against him. Ponce de Leon decided to return to Puerto Rico. Several years later, Ponce de Leon planned to begin a settlement in Florida. This time, he took about 200 men, tools, seeds, and other supplies. However, the Native Americans in Florida fought fiercely, and most of De Leon's men were killed.
Thank you. Kush, read that last paragraph for us.
Ponce de Leon himself was wounded by an arrow. The men who survived took Ponce de Leon to the nearby island of Cuba, where he died. He never knew the greatness of the land